Hey, Powerhouse, I have a very special invitation just for you. I would love to invite you to the Powerhouse Lawyers Retreat happening September 27th through October 1st in beautiful Ocean Isle, North Carolina. The Powerhouse Lawyers Retreat is a life-changing experience that every single woman in law not only deserves, but needs. It's a 4-night getaway in a luxurious oceanfront home with all of your needs taken care of in a house full of other powerhouse women who want the exact same things as you. It's more than a mastermind and more than a community and more than just networking connections. Powerhouse Lawyers Retreat is like nothing that's ever been done before in the legal profession. The only words that I can come up with to describe it are life-changing. And if you don't believe me, just ask any of the past attendees who describe it as lightning in a bottle. One of the best experiences of their life, changing the entire trajectory of their career, and a solid differentiation point between life before and after the retreat. One thing is for sure, your life and you will never be the same. So come join us September 27th through October 1st in Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina. Spots are limited, so go grab yours. Head on over to eringerner.com/powerhouse-lawyer-retreat. See you there. Are you an ambitious attorney who is ready to build a life that you cannot wait to wake up for? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Powerhouse Lawyers, a podcast for the powerhouse in each of us. I'm your host, Erin Gerner. And if you're ready to practice law differently, let's go. Welcome back to the Powerhouse Lawyers podcast. I am your host, Erin Gerner, and today I have the most special guest that I am so excited to talk to today. She's one of my very dear friends and someone that has been a mentor in my life, who has coached me, and who I just am so excited for her to be here to tell her story. Her name is Jenifer Jones. She is the mom of 4 dragons, and she left a 20-year career as a top earner in pharmaceutical sales to go all in on her network marketing career. And she is a freaking powerhouse. So you may be wondering why we're listening to someone who is not a lawyer on a lawyer podcast, but I'm a lawyer and it's my podcast. But it's important that you hear different perspectives from different people who are not in the legal profession, so you can open your mind to what is possible. She's also the founder and CEO of the Ignite and Launch Society, which is a platform to help people crush it in their direct selling business. So JJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Erin. I have to say, I'm a little intimidated. I'm a little pissed by all these smarty pants lawyers that are probably listening to this. You know, I interned at my brother's law firm. I guess I was like a clerk one summer in college. And I knew at that point that I was not cut out for anything y'all do. And it was really when the receptionist said to me, you know, honey, I see you more as sales rep. I'm like, I got you, Karen. That was actually her name. I'm not making a joke. I got you, Karen. I'm going to follow my gifts here and get out of this legal office. So thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. I honestly wish I had also interned in the legal office, and maybe my perspective of going into the law would have been less jaded and just going right in, diving headfirst. But JJ, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your story, how you got to where you are today. Tell me all the things for our listeners.
Yes. Okay, so you heard her say I was a 20-year pharmaceutical sales rep, you guys. I made great money. It's a super lucrative gig. It's also a really challenging career. I'm not going to pretend to know what your days are like as a lawyer. I know I didn't have to go back for that advanced degree after college. I know that much. So I saved myself some money there. But you guys, it is a grind. And I'm sure you guys can relate to the grind. And it was after I had my 4th daughter. And my mom was really sick. You know, we had to put her into hospice, and that grind was never stopping. You know, I would take my 4 girls to daycare, drop them off. You guys know how expensive daycare is, right? Insane. Drop them off, go take care of my mom, try to skirt my boss who's always like, where are you? What are you doing? When are we meeting for lunch? When are we? And I was like, I can't keep doing this anymore. I was burnt out. I wasn't sleeping well. I was sweating all night. It was like this weird anxiety thing. I had crazy insomnia. I had to seek pretty extreme treatment for. And I thought to myself, what am I doing? But it was all I knew. It was all I knew. And it's not like I was groomed for this type of career. You guys, nobody grows up dreaming of becoming a sales rep. Any sales rep knows, you guys, we're C students. We're like BC students. We like fall into this. You know, we don't climb the ladder to get there. We fall into a sales role, which actually worked out well for me. But it was at that point that I realized unequivocally I had to find something else, just didn't know how. So one day, literally down from the cosmos and onto my lap, dropped an opportunity in direct selling. It was a former manager of mine that's like, oh my gosh, I have an in on this business. We should do this together. And immediately, my eyes lit up. I'm like, this could be my plan B. This could be my way out. So unlike many of you guys, I knew I wanted out. I just didn't know how. But what I hope to do through this conversation with Erin is just open your mind to more options, more opportunities. If you stay open, the universe is going to throw you some breadcrumbs. So keep looking for them.
That is so true. And I resonate so much with that. I mentioned in episode 1 that I also, JJ and I were in the same social selling company, are still in the same social selling company. And that is an opportunity that completely changed my life because very similar to her, I was at a point in my legal career and in my momhood to where I needed different options and choices. And I thought the only thing I knew how to do was practice law. I thought all I could be was a lawyer. And frankly, my ego was really in the way too. I was like, oh, I'm this smart lawyer. I've got this degree. This is all I can do. So when a social selling opportunity came across my plate, my eyes lit up too, because I was absolutely desperate for something else. I didn't even know that I was capable of doing something else. But I am not going to lie. Like in the very beginning, I was like, I am doing this and I should be doing something like way more important. Like what is going on? Like, this is what is happening. Did you have a similar feeling? I mean, that is hindsight, and we clearly feel very differently about this platform, but did you not feel as like a high achieving woman, have done all these things? It's like, okay, now I'm in this network marketing thing. Like, should I be doing something more important? Like,
yes, but let me go back to the corporate brainwashing. And again, I told you, I'm not going to call y'all dog ugly. Don't know what your industry's like, but I know mine. Okay. The corporate brainwashing I was getting from my managers and regional directors, I should be so lucky to make 6 figures, right? Like, oh my gosh, like, it's like, let me hold my hand out for more money. Mother, may I have more money because I'm so stellar. I got a car. I got 401k. I got benefit. I should be so lucky. And I sat there and I listened to this guy say this to me in a boardroom with 5 of my colleagues. I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm going to be so happy with this career cap for the rest of my life when I'm constantly trading time for money. That's what it was. Like, I wasn't making money while I sleep. I was trading time for money, basically clocking in, making calls, clocking out. So yes, I wanted more. I believed there was more, but I wasn't brought up in an entrepreneurial family. I mean, my dad was a sales rep. My mom was a sales rep. They worked themselves to the bone. Nobody sat there and told me, wow, maybe you should go out and do something for yourself. Maybe you could break away from corporate because society wants to keep us stuck. And I'm not going to go down that road, but you guys start thinking about it. Start thinking about what they're telling you. And you should be so lucky and you should be so grateful. I'm like, I'm not comparing myself to anyone else. I know there is more for me. Yes, girl, Erin. Yes, yes.
Yes, that is so true. And I remember thinking so often in my legal job that I was sitting there thinking there was something wrong with me for wanting more, for thinking that there could possibly be more beyond the desk, beyond the suit, beyond the billable hour, but then feeling massive guilt of like, what are you talking about? Because from the outside, our life looks really great. you've got the great job, you're driving the car, you know, you got the title and all this kind of stuff. And people look at you and they're like, what, you know, like, what are you complaining about? And then it makes you feel like there's literally something wrong with you. What was the shift after you decided to go all in on network marketing? What was that shift of being like, I don't know if I can do this, to I know I can do this?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. It's a pull as a mother, right? So I always say, if you bet on yourself, you're never going to lose. So I did both. I double dipped into my corporate career for about 6 months and did my network marketing company. And then I felt like every second I wasn't dedicating to this network marketing company that I knew I could grow. You know why? Because I was in control. So I'm sure you guys have red tape as lawyers, but as pharmaceutical reps, it's insurance companies, it's pharmacy stocking, it's geography, it's Medicaid, it's Medicare. There's all these things that are being fired against you that really are out of your control that can hinder your success. So I knew in my network marketing company, the more I worked, the more opportunity I was going to create for myself and others, and the more I was going to earn for my family. So I almost felt like I was cheating on it. Like I felt like I was cheating on my dreams by sticking with this 9 to 5, which really nobody works a 9 to 5. It's like a 7 to 7. We all know that. We all know that. But it's also super scary to bet on yourself and give up the car, the benefits, the 401k. But you guys, if you're listening to this and you believe in your bones that you are capable of more, just dip your toe in the pond of more and see what it could be, you know? And maybe you don't want to balance two things, and maybe you want to stick with what you've always done because that's comfortable, and that is okay too. But it's this mantra I have in my head: just because that's the way it's always been, or that's what I've always done, or I've invested 2 decades of my life, doesn't mean I'm going to keep doing that. I mean, I made a career pivot, a life pivot at 39 years old, you know, so, and completely like burned my brag book. Like, I can't even walk back into those circles anymore. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I burned the bridge and it feels amazing. So yes, there was absolutely that moment, but I think it's scary. So I want to recognize that for your listeners and say, hey, just do a couple different things and see what feels right, and then follow your heart and your gut.
Because I really think once you take, I mean, and here's the thing, it's direct selling is simply affiliating products, right? Like that's just an additional stream of income. Like not everyone has to have the goal of being like, right, Jenifer Jones, or
And
you know,
most people don't. And most
right,
people don't yeah.
exactly. Like no, most people don't want to do that. They just need a couple extra $100 a month to create breathing room. What breathing room creates is it opens up the space for options and choices. So you can see things differently. So you can create more movement and freedom within your life. And then when that starts happening, things start feeling less constricting. Like it feels like the noose is starting to loosen, and you can actually start to see that you are capable of more, that there are more options, and that just by opening your mind to what's possible, there's so many ways to make money these days. Like
And the
we are
thing is,
living in the world of making money.
and I feel like it's really important for us to highlight, Erin, it doesn't matter what 1099, what direct selling company, doesn't, what, maybe you're a yoga instructor on the side. It doesn't matter. Personal trainer, golf pro. If you took that money, so Erin just mentioned a couple extra hundred, maybe it's a couple, maybe it's 500, maybe it's 5,000. I don't care. Took that money, invested it well, took care of it, and then use that to really fuel the dream. Really fuel the dream. So my first dream was owning real estate, done. Second dream, which I didn't even know I had several years ago, of starting my own company. Could have never done that. Could have never done that without dipping my toe into a 1099 or a direct sales company. So now, just like you, Erin, when people say to me, oh my gosh, like you're a CEO, you're a founder, you're the owner, you're the S Corp, you're the all those things. I was like, yes. And I used to be the W-2 guy. I used to be that person. But because I opened my mind, and you guys see a theme here, Erin and I keep saying, just stay open. Stay willing to try something new. Be willing to suck at something new, but try something excites you. Try something uncomfortable that you said you'd never do. Even if you told everybody you'd never do it, maybe you should do it. You know, and it will light the way for so much more. And I mean, girl, we're just getting started. Where are we going to be in 5 years? thanks to meeting at that company and the network that we've gained. And the one other thing I want to touch on here is you guys have a really phenomenal network as attorneys, I know. But when you join different companies, different communities, you are exposed to thousands of other people that may or may not be like you. And it's very provocative to swim in bigger circles. Erin, I heard you say on one of your podcasts, get in the room with people who are better, faster, stronger, smarter. I always took that to be, I need to get in a room with a really good coach, which I have one. But another way to get in the room, and I advocate for coaching, is to join a company with whom you align and get in the room with those people, those players that could end up being your next whatever.
Absolutely. So I want to hear more about Ignite and Launch, but I want to hear about the foundation that an opportunity like this allowed you to create, right? Like you laid this foundation, this entrepreneurial mindset. You didn't really know anything about entrepreneurship before network marketing, and that kind of laid the foundation, built the framework, gave you, those personal development things, like stuff I had never been exposed to ever. So I would love if you would talk about that and how that gave you the confidence to then launch into being your own CEO.
Yes. So if you guys haven't listened to podcast 1 and 2 of Erin's, I highly encourage it because I find I keep stealing some of your nuggets. There's so many. But it was how you said it gave you the ability to lean into your gifts. Okay, so again, as a pharmaceutical rep, I was a talking head for 12 hours a day, driving around in my car, saying exactly what they wanted me to say, to whom they wanted me to say it, getting a signature, trading time for money, sell, close, close, close. This is what you say. And then I explain this to drug reps who want to come and join me. I'm like, this felt like freedom. This felt like I could lean into my creativity. This felt like I could say what I wanted to say, obviously, within a number of guidelines, but I could work how I wanted. I could explore zones of genius that I didn't know were there. I could join coaching programs that actually mattered for me because I wasn't just reporting to the man all day. I mean, I could join a noon lunch and learn about Instagram reel. I mean, I couldn't even imagine this life before, right? Couldn't even imagine it. So it laid the foundation by allowing me to have fun again. I started to enjoy life again. I used to say I saw the world in black and white, and then it became Technicolor because I was like, wow, I have time to do all the things, and I can make the lunches, and I can do the drop off, and I can come home and listen to an inspiring podcast while I work out, and then I can go get a massage. And I'm not trying to paint this amazing, unattainable picture, but my life is incredible by design, because I tried something different, because I tried something new. But again, it's not like you get into this and just burn the money. It gives you the time to be thoughtful about how you're spending your time. And I saw something on LinkedIn the other day. If you guys are not on LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn. But it was something along the lines of time freedom is the real freedom. Yes. Time freedom is the real freedom. And it didn't even talk about money, finances, compensation. Time freedom is the real freedom. And I do whatever I want all day long. And that to me is like really winning at life. So to go back and answer your question, it's the time to think. It's the time to not grind. It's the time to get a massage or go to a 2:00 yoga class in the afternoon, which feels so dirty, but it's like feeling alive. I mean, for years, I felt guilty and I felt like I need to lie about it and act like I'm grinding all the time because the hustle is real. Don't get me wrong, but the hustle's when I want to hustle. And maybe I want to hustle at midnight while I'm watching Yellowstone. Maybe that's when I want to hustle. But yeah, so it lays the groundwork for so much more. And I can't even imagine what's to come because I have the time to do what I want. And that might just be laying on the couch with my kids all day and not feeling guilty about it,
That, I mean, honestly, to probably everyone who's going to listen to this podcast, that would sound like a miracle day and like a day that could not possibly happen. I mean, honestly, like we live in this grind that is just like, it just seems so over and over and over again. But but it doesn't have to be that way, right? Like it doesn't have to be that way. There are ways to make things start to work for you. And that was so evident last weekend at my retreat with these 8 women. Like it just opened their mind to be like, oh, well, okay, well, so I don't want to do that anymore. Say I did just worst case scenario, say I just walked away tomorrow. I could do blah, 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 and like listed off 3 things. And I was like, yes, that is the point of opening your mind to what is possible. And by being in the room with other people who are showing you what's possible, because once your eyes are open to that and you lean into your superpowers, then you know what's possible and you can't unknow that. Once you know what's possible for you, you can't unknow that. Like once I knew there was more and I was capable, if I just leaned in and got massively uncomfortable and just did that 5% more than the 95% behind me were doing, that I could create a life that I really freaking loved. Like, and it takes work and you've got to be intentional about it, but it is possible.
It doesn't seem possible though, when again, and I can only imagine what your offices were like, but like at my company, when it's like, we are the leaders of the world. Like, look at us, we're the most powerful industry. And look at like, it's almost like I drank the Kool-Aid for so long. I didn't think it could ever be better. And I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so tragic. And that's what I want to explain to my girls is, and I have 4 girls and I'm like, my gosh, you may never have to work for anybody else unless you want to, right? But instead of getting ready for the interview, I want you to be the one interviewing, right? Like how many times have we sat through those? And so exactly what you just said, like opening your mind to something more, even if you're listening to this, and I know as a lawyer, Erin speaks your language, okay? I think it's so important to find a mentor in this life that speaks your language. So you guys have an ally in her, right? Because I'm like, I don't even know what y'all talking about half the time. So that's so meaningful. But then to feel heard and understood and have someone that's done it before you, like Erin, you're trailblazing. I know there ain't other lawyers doing this, but like, so that's why it's so important that you guys have found her and identified her as a mentor in your life, whether you ever meet her or just listen to her podcasts forever or join her community. She is there to give you a hand up, not a handout. So she can be like, girl, I've got you. Let's do it together, no matter what it is.
It is. It's just knowing that you're not alone and knowing that those thoughts, that you're not crazy. I thought I was crazy for the longest time, that I was having all these thoughts, that I had huge dreams and big ambitions and was loud and wanted to do all these things. I was like, something's wrong with me. Like I should just be satisfied with what I have, but I wanted more. So I'm so glad that we have got women, and this is an opportunity for me to show women that, for you to show women that. It's just very, very powerful. I want to hear about Ignite and Launch and how you are changing the money game for women going forward by Ignite and Launch, because that is really changing the money game, the money conversation for women in this life in your company. And I want to hear more about it.
It became abundantly clear to me that women are afraid to make a lot of money. They're afraid to talk about money. They're afraid to want more. And I was like, this is tragic. You guys, people make us feel guilty for making a lot of money or wanting to make a lot of money. Oh, because we should be donating that time to charity. Oh, well, we should. I go, listen, honey, charities aren't built on good vibes and Facebook shares. Charities are built on money. That is how the well is dug. That is how the school is started. So I was like, whether you want to roll around naked in the bathtub with millions of dollars, or you want to give it to a bunch of kids over start a school, the world needs money. If you have gifts, you should be earning compensation for sharing those gifts with people. So Ignite and Launch, I realized network marketers, specifically women, just needed, like I keep saying, the hand up of like, oh my gosh, it's okay to say this. It's okay to want this. It's okay to want more. It's okay to go all in on network marketing, because this is a profession. This isn't a bunch of ladies that sit around at the kitchen table and gossip about other people. These are powerful women from all walks of life, C-suite, 6-figure, 7-figure earners that are like, you know what? I can do more and I can be more. And who knows, maybe I will give some of that money back, but I'm not going to be afraid to make it. I'm not going to be afraid to want the yacht. I'm not going to be afraid to buy the vacation home for my family. And I'm not going to be afraid to say that out loud. Last thing I'll say on that, we have an exercise in Ignite and Launch where I want women to tell me what they want to earn. I want them to write it down, what their goal is, their financial goal, whether it's weekly, monthly, annually, whatever. And people get so hung up on this because they are afraid to put something out there because of the way it might make them feel, their spouse feel, their kids feel. And then I have a coach that I work with, and he goes, you go back and tell all those women that number they write down is directly tied to their self-worth. And I was like,
the truth. It is
what?
so true. No one is reconciling those two things, but they go hand in hand.
So I wanted to start having those conversations. And the other thing I want to talk about on here, Erin, is Unlocked. You guys go to www.experienceunlocked. It's absolutely free to join. There's no hidden costs, okay? But it's a really sophisticated networking group for women. And we have like CEOs and VPs from all Fortune 500 companies in there. Would love to have you guys. The reason we're doing this is to discuss closing the pay gap for women. Everyone knows that we make a portion of what men make per hour worked, okay? So it's about having those conversations and not shying away from those conversations. And, you know, in pharmaceutical sales, I always ask Kyle and Chris, so what was your starting salary? Like, what was that? What did you get on that last bonus? Because I got this and I don't think I'm, and they were so afraid to tell me. And I go, why are you so afraid to tell me? Like, and it's because the company doesn't want us talking about it. So I don't know if that's going on with all y'all lawyers, but I would start having those conversations so you can put all the arrows in your quiver. So when you go negotiate for more for yourself, you have all the evidence, honey.
I love it. That is so empowering. And you are not only changing the game for the women inside your program, but I just want to talk about your 4 dragons for a minute, because you are like, holy cow, breaking generational wounds, curses, stories, beliefs. And they're watching you. I see these little entrepreneurs, like I see them doing their thing and like just stepping into their own. And I truly, this is just outside looking in. I think that is a large portion of that has to do with you stepping in to your power and showing them what's possible. Like, how do you talk to them about this stuff?
Money is power. Erin said it earlier. Money is power. I don't care. It gives you freedom. It gives you choices. And you can leave a bad relationship or a bad situation or a bad town or a bad state, whatever. So I really want my girls to understand, and I know collectively, all the women listening, I know you guys feel the same way. I don't want them to rely on anybody, and that includes a corporation. I'm not just talking about a man or a woman, whoever they choose to spend their life with, or be alone, perfect, great, fine, good. But I don't want them reliant on the government, a corporation, or somebody else. And so we have to start saying these things really, really early to pivot the conversation, because at school they're teaching them go to college and get the interview and get the right company and I'm like, but what if you made the right company? What if you were the right company? And then you could provide opportunity for others. So it's just slowly like chipping away at like what even society or school, and I love their school, this isn't about, but is telling them and putting them in a box of a corporate employee. And if they want that, fine, but they might not want that. So
yes, because now they know that there are different options. I never knew that you could do. I remember always laughing. It was like never a choice. It was never if I was going to college, it was where.
yes.
Right? Like it was never an issue. And not that I'm advocating for going or not going to college. My God, I love school. Clearly I'm a lawyer, but sure. It's just knowing that even if you do go all the way through and you get a degree or you're a doctor or whatever, whoever you are, that's not all you are. That is not all you are. Like a pharma rep is a job. An attorney is a job. Who are you on the inside? Like, what do you want your life to look like and feel like? I think I have a lot more conversations about legacy these days. Like, what am I leaving behind? What am I showing the next generation? And I don't want to repeat the same patterns that have been repeated to me. I want to show them that they can do anything that they want to with their unique superpowers. And I just applaud you for doing the do and showing your daughters that you can do that, and I think
you're
that's
doing
incredible.
the same. And I know you showed them the ugly, you showed them the not pretty side of being an entrepreneur or an attorney. And I listened to the whole thing earlier, and I think what, it's just about staying open. It's just about leaning into the nudges and those nuances of life that feel right, or wow, that feels scary, but let me try it. Maybe it won't work out, but maybe it will. And more than anything, having the time freedom to explore things, because this never would have happened if I would have had to be at my first breakfast at 7:30 in the morning and then have a dinner program for 20 doctors at 7 o'clock at night. I wouldn't even have the mental capacity to think bigger.
Yeah.
So you guys, carve out time for yourselves, take the bath, book the massage, book it on your lunch break if you don't want to tell anybody else about it. I get a 90-minute massage every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. I schedule it like a meeting. That's where a lot of my creativity comes from. So do what you need to do to protect yourself. And then I think you'll be surprised what may come of that self-care. I think lawyers are probably terrible at self-care. So let me be an advocate for that also. Go to yoga. Go to yoga this afternoon. The case can wait. Whatever. Yes. Tell your boss I said that.
Yes, we are terrible at self-care and terrible at putting ourselves last. But it's carving out the time to just be quiet with your thoughts and just think. I tell my clients to just turn off the radio, like just drive home in silence. I tell them to do that all the time. Okay, before we go, I would love to know, what advice would you give the female attorney who is sitting in her office right now, who is miserable, who wants more, doesn't know what to do? What advice would you give her?
First advice, I would say stick with Erin. Join your, what is it called, Erin?
Powerhouse Lawyers.
Okay. I was like, Powerhouse Lawyers. Join Powerhouse Lawyers. Listen to the first and the second podcast that she's done. Because again, you guys, you want to find someone with whom you align, who speaks your language. I cannot say it enough. And someone who's done it before. So I would lean into Erin as a mentor, whatever her mentorship looks like. Okay. And then if you find people inspiring in your craft, on social media, on LinkedIn, in your community, I would follow them. I would reach out to them. I would ask to schedule a meeting, a mutually beneficial meeting, you guys, okay? Nobody wants you to pick their brain. Please retire those words. Nobody wants to give away their time for free. But like, you could offer to buy them coffee, bring them value, and have a mutually beneficial business relationship where you guys can help elevate each other. Maybe it's an accountability partner. Maybe it's someone you look for as a mentor. You guys, I blind messaged this guy with like 1.5 million Instagram followers. And I was like, he's never going to respond to me. And now he's my business coach. Okay. So nobody is too big, too fast, too successful. So much of this is a facade. We all know this. Reach out to the person, bring value to them, offer to pay them for their time. And more than anything, you guys just know what, if you have nudges, if you have inklings, if you have little pixie dust somewhere in your mind that more is out there, it is your duty. It is your duty. It is your job as a human to figure out what that is, monetize it if you can, and you can use all those superpowers to make the world a better place for yourself and others, lighting the way for others that may feel the exact same as you.
Oh, mic drop. All of that is so beautiful. Okay, JJ, before we go, I always ask 2 questions at the end of my podcast. Okay. And the first one is, what would you tell the younger version of your pharma rep self? What's one thing you would tell her?
Yeah. I would tell her to stop believing everything that they're telling you, because they're brainwashing you into staying small, because they want you to stay small so that you will work for them forever. So yeah, you might walk across that stage and go to Hawaii with your best friend or your spouse, or maybe you get a Rolex. And they're doing all those things. They're dangling all those cherries to keep you small. And looking back on it, I find it disgusting. So if you're experiencing that, you guys open your eyes bigger and start running faster, potentially in another direction.
I love it. Okay, last question. JJ, what is your superpower?
Oh, okay. I like to say what everyone's thinking, and they're afraid to say it. So it's one of those things. I actually jokingly got an award for this like 15 years ago in pharma, because I'm just like, I got a question. And so you guys, and I tell my daughters this too, because they're like, I want to ask you something, but I'm like, just say it. Just spit it out. Just say it. Don't think about it. Don't overthink it. So I would encourage you guys to do the same thing. If something feels weird, or if something feels like you're being fed a line, or just raise your hand and you can just say in a very cavalier way, A question. Can you explain that a little further? And they're going to dig their own grave and fall back into it. And you can watch and giggle on the inside while maintaining your composure. So I love to ask the tough questions and observe and just say what everyone else is thinking.
That is awesome. JJ, how can everybody find you on social media? Where do you live? Where can they find you? Where can they connect with you?
Well, thanks again, Erin, for this opportunity. I'm such a fan of yours. I see what you're doing and it's meaningful. You're doing meaningful work. And so before I plug myself, I want to say, you guys, you could be the next Erin. Like, you could be helping other people break the chains of whatever their mindset is, career or internally, right? So thank you, Erin. I am Jenifer Schultz-Jones on all platforms. You can tell I'm not a creative person. Find me first on LinkedIn, second on Facebook, third on Instagram. You can also go to www.igniteandlaunch.com. There's a free option there. Mentorship. Third of all, you guys, this has nothing to do with me, but please go to Experience Unlocked and join us there. Free to join. We're just trying to elevate women's voices, just like Erin is doing with all of you guys, across all platforms. And y'all are going to find some really powerful attorneys in there that you can network with, or maybe rock and moan in the fetal position with. I'm not sure. But they're on there. And so we welcome you guys and your voices and your feedback and your commitment to breaking that wage gap for women.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. This was such an amazing conversation. I simply adore you. We could go on and on forever over a glass of wine.
Yes, or coffee. I have my breakfast wine, just coffee.
Yes, that is so good.
Thanks,
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Powerhouse Lawyers podcast. I will see you next time. And remember, you are a powerhouse.